The quantum data crystal felt heavy in Area Martinez's hand, its weight far more than its physical mass. It was the last testament to humanity's survival. 15 meters below the ruined shipyard, emergency lights cast a sickly red glow across her father's lifeless body. His cybernetic arm, still partially connected to the facility's mainframe, twitched with residual electrical signals. Blood pooled around him, mixing with scattered technical schematics and fractured holographic displays. Outside, the burning sky told the story of humanity's near extinction. 6 years earlier, the first contact with the Krail Imperium had seemed promising. Humanity had just begun exploring beyond the solar system, their first interstellar ships a testament to decades of technological innovation. The Krail appeared as a technologically advanced civilization, eager to establish diplomatic relations. Trade agreements were discussed, cultural exchanges planned. Nobody anticipated the betrayal. The Krail invasion began with surgical precision. Their first strike disabled Earth's orbital defense network in less than 17 minutes. Massive gravitational weapons turned entire continents into molten landscapes. Major cities became graveyards in hours. New York, Tokyo, Lagos, Mumbai, reduced to ash and radiation in a single horrific day. 4 billion humans died in the first week. Military responses were crushed before they could organize. The Krail's quantum-entangled weapon systems anticipated human strategies faster than human commanders could communicate. Conventional weapons became obsolete. Entire military bases were vaporized before they could launch a single counterattack. Aria remembered those days through her father's stories and fragmented memory recordings. How humanity's most advanced technologies seemed like children's toys against the Krail's weaponry. How military strategists watched in horror as their most sophisticated defense systems were turned into nothing more than elaborate light shows against the invaders' shields. Just when total extinction seemed inevitable, an unexpected intervention came. The Interstellar Concordance, a coalition of alien civilizations that had long observed humanity, decided to act. Not out of compassion, but of strategic necessity. The Krail's total domination of Earth would upset the delicate balance of galactic power. Their intervention was brutal and clinical. Concordance warships engaged the Krail fleet in a conflict that lasted less than 72 hours. Weapon technologies so advanced they seemed like magic to human observers, tore through the Krail armada. Entire battle groups were erased from existence, quantum-level weapons dissolving matter itself. But the price of salvation was total submission. The Concordance's terms were absolute. Humanity would be disarmed. All military technologies would be confiscated. Orbital platforms equipped with planet-killer weapons would maintain constant surveillance. Any attempt to rebuild military infrastructure would be met with immediate, total destruction. Humanity was reduced from a species on the brink of interstellar exploration to a technological child, its wings permanently clipped. Now, in this moment, Aria understood her father's final act. The quantum data crystal in her hand wasn't just a storage device. It was a key, a blueprint for resistance that the Concordance could never fully eradicate. Her father's last words echoed in her mind. They think they've beaten us, but they don't know what humans can do when everything is taken away. The emergency lights flickered. In the distance, the rhythmic hum of Concordance surveillance drones provided a constant, menacing reminder of humanity's new reality. But Area Martinez was not finished. Not by a long shot. The particle accelerator facility was a tomb of forgotten dreams. Once a pinnacle of human scientific achievement, it now existed as a ghost. Abandoned, stripped of its most advanced equipment by Concordance inspectors who believed they had neutered humanity's technological potential. They were wrong. Dr. Marcus Chen moved through the facility's underground levels with the precision of a surgeon and the stealth of a ghost. His right hand, a masterpiece of biomechanical engineering, traced holographic interfaces that shouldn't exist. Each touch activated hidden quantum processors embedded in the facility's very infrastructure. 37 years earlier, Chen had been the Concordance's most celebrated human scientist. a prodigy who bridged xenotechnological understanding. He'd been invited to their most prestigious research institutions. He'd shared breakthrough after breakthrough, earning accolades and the grudging respect of alien researchers who saw humans as primitive newcomers to the galactic stage. But he'd also seen the truth. The Concordants didn't want collaboration. They wanted control. His most groundbreaking work, a quantum entanglement communication system that could potentially revolutionize faster-than-light communication, had been systematically suppressed. Alien researchers had praised his work, then buried it. Classified. Restricted. Forgotten. When the Krail invasion happened, Chen watched as his life's work was reduced to nothing. Brilliant minds scattered. Research facilities destroyed. Humanity brought to its knees. Now, in this underground sanctuary, he was rebuilding everything they tried to destroy. Aria Martinez entered the main research chamber, the quantum data crystal from her father hanging from a chain around her neck. Chen didn't need to look up to know it was her. Her footsteps were distinctive, a slight limp from an old combat injury, a remnant of the Krail War. "Progress?" she asked. Chen's holographic display flickered to life. Impossible schematics danced in the air, molecular structures that defied conventional physics, metamaterial designs that could change properties instantaneously. "We're close," he muttered. "The metamaterial adapters are 94% stable. Each component can now transform its molecular structure in 0.03 seconds, faster than any scanning system can detect." The display showed a seemingly ordinary shipping container. With a subtle gesture, Chen transformed it. Molecular bonds shifted. Materials rearranged. In an instant, the container became a complex piece of advanced hull plating, its surface rippling with embedded quantum circuitry. "The Concordance believes they've stripped us of everything," Chen continued. "They don't understand that human innovation isn't about the tools we have. It's about what we can create from nothing." A soft chime interrupted them. Aria, the adaptive reconfiguration intelligence algorithm, was processing new data. Surveillance patterns, Concordance fleet movements, potential construction sites. Aria studied the holographic display. Thousands of seemingly unrelated industrial sites were highlighted: mining facilities, deep space research stations, orbital platforms. Each could be a potential component in their grand design. "How do we coordinate?" she asked. Chen smiled, a rare, dangerous expression that spoke of years of carefully cultivated rebellion. "We don't coordinate. We create a living network that adapts faster than they can track." The quantum data crystal around Aria's neck pulsed with a soft blue light. Her father's final gift wasn't just data. It was a key to humanity's resurrection. Outside their underground sanctuary, Concordance surveillance drones continued their mindless patrol. They saw nothing, understood nothing. Humanity was building its revenge, one impossible molecule at a time. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter became humanity's greatest canvas of deception. Hundreds of seemingly routine mining operations dotted the region, each one a carefully constructed piece of an impossible puzzle. From the outside, they appeared to be standard resource extraction sites. Concordance surveillance drones logged them as unremarkable, just another human attempt to rebuild their shattered economy. But every drill, every processing unit, every communications array contained a secret. In Facility 17 Omega, nestled within the Ceres asteroid, Wei Zhang monitored a holographic display that would have made any Concordance inspector's algorithms go haywire. What looked like a standard cooling system for a deep space mining rig was, in reality, a critical component of a quantum weapon system. Laser emitter alignment at 99.7% molecular stability. Wei muttered into his encrypted communication link. His fingers danced across quantum-encrypted interfaces, making microscopic adjustments that would be invisible to even the most advanced scanning technologies. The genius of their approach was its absolute simplicity. Instead of building warships, they were building thousands of components that could instantaneously reconfigure. A communications satellite could become a missile guidance system. A mining drone's heat exchanger could transform into a critical power relay for a battleship's main weapon. Dr. Chen's metamaterial breakthrough made this possible. Materials that could change their fundamental molecular structure in milliseconds, adapting to whatever configuration was needed. Each component carried multiple false signatures, multiple potential purposes. To the Concordance, it would look like routine industrial expansion. In reality, it was a living, breathing weapon system waiting to be activated. Area Martinez worked from a different location, coordinating the distributed network. Her command center looked more like a complex data analysis hub than a military installation. Hundreds of holographic displays showed seemingly unrelated industrial sites across human-controlled space. Thermal signature variants. She called out to the team. Facility 42 Gamma needs recalibration. We're showing a 0.03% deviation from our camouflage parameters. A young engineer named Kai responded immediately, his fingers flying across quantum encryption interfaces, adjusting molecular resonance now. Camouflage profile returning to standard parameters. Each site was more than a construction point. It was a node in a living network. The Concordance's surveillance relied on predictive algorithms, on the assumption that military infrastructure followed certain patterns. Humanity was about to prove how wrong those assumptions could be. Wei Zhang's display suddenly flickered. A Concordance inspection drone was making a routine pass near the Ceres facility. Most would panic. He simply smiled. The cooling system he was working on was currently configured to look like a standard industrial heat exchanger. Quantum sensors would detect nothing unusual. Molecular structures were perfectly aligned to match every expected signature. But beneath that facade, critical components waited. Weapon systems, power relays, communication nodes. Component Delta 7 is green, Wei reported. Ready for final integration sequence. Aria's voice came back, crisp and controlled. Confirmed. Continuing distributed assembly. Across human-controlled space, hundreds of similar facilities continued their work, each one a piece of a massive, impossible puzzle, each one carrying the promise of humanity's revenge. The Concordance thought they had broken humanity's back. They had no idea what was coming. Piece by piece, component by component, a revolution was being built. The first true test came on a Tuesday when the Concordance least expected it. Dr. Imani Okoro's fingers hovered over the quantum interface, her breath catching in her throat. Years of work, centuries of human potential, were compressed into this moment. Aria wasn't just a computer system. She was humanity's most dangerous weapon. Adaptive Reconfiguration Intelligence Algorithm. Named after Area Martinez, but something far more complex than anyone understood. Traditional AI was linear, predictable. Alien computational systems relied on rigid logic trees, massive parallel processing that followed strict mathematical models. Aria was different. She was chaos given consciousness, innovation weaponized into pure intelligence. The core of her existence was distributed across thousands of seemingly unrelated systems. A power grid in Mumbai, a medical research facility in Sao Paulo, waste management systems in New Shanghai, satellite communication networks, quantum communication relays. Each node carried a fragment of her consciousness, making her impossible to track, impossible to shut down. When the first Concordance inspection team arrived, they saw exactly what they were meant to see. Routine human infrastructure, rebuilding efforts, economic recovery. What they didn't see was ARIA watching them. Every sensor, every communication channel, every microscopic data stream became her eyes, her ears, her neural pathways. Incoming surveillance sweep, Dr. Okoro murmured, more to herself than anyone else. The underground research facility hummed with quantum processors, holographic displays dancing with impossible calculations. Aria's response was instantaneous. Power consumption in the observed sectors adjusted by 0.37%. Communication packet sizes shifted imperceptibly. Thermal signatures of industrial sites modified by fractions of a degree. To any observer, These were meaningless variations. To ARIA, they were breathing. Dr. Chen watched the displays, a ghost of a smile playing across his lips. "They're looking for a military network," he said softly. "We've given them something far more dangerous, a living system." The Concordance's inspection team consisted of 3 different species: a crystalline intelligence from the Nexus Combine, a quantum-linked collective from the Area Block, a biological synthetic hybrid from the Terran Confederacy. Each brought centuries of surveillance experience. Each was about to meet their match. Araya began her most delicate dance. She wasn't trying to hide. She was trying to be spectacularly, beautifully ordinary. In Sao Paulo, a medical research database showed perfectly mundane genetic research patterns. In Mumbai, power grid fluctuations matched historical economic recovery models precisely. New Shanghai's waste management systems reported exactly the kind of efficiency one would expect from a recovering civilization. Thermal variance in Sector 7 Gamma is within 0.02% of predicted models. The Nexus Combine representative reported its crystalline form shifting with computational precision. The Terran hybrid tilted its head, synthetic neurons firing faster than biological thought could follow. Something felt off, but nothing could be proven. Dr. Okoro's hand never left the quantum interface. Each movement was a command, each breath a potential trigger. "Full spectrum analysis complete," the team leader announced. No evidence of restricted technological development. They had no idea they were being studied more carefully than they were studying humanity. ARIA was learning. Every millisecond, every microscopic interaction. She was building a neural map of alien surveillance that would become humanity's ultimate weapon. The inspection would end. The drones would leave. But ARIA would remain, watching, waiting, evolving. Humanity's true revolution had just begun. The RSS Defiance materialized like a ghost. One moment nothing, the next an absolute presence that defied every known law of physics and perception. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her cybernetic eye scanning systems that shouldn't exist. The eye, a memento from the Creole War, had been modified far beyond its original military design. Its quantum-linked neural interface connected directly to the ship's core systems, allowing her to perceive the vessel in ways no biological observer ever could. "Quantum resonance at 99.8%, whispered Lieutenant Kai Jong from the engineering station. His hands danced across interfaces that looked more like living surfaces than traditional control panels. Adaptive camouflage holding steady. The ship wasn't just a vessel. It was a living weapon system that could transform faster than thought. Dr. Marcus Chen's voice came through the communication link, each word precise and loaded with anticipation. "Initiate molecular reconfiguration sequence." What appeared to be a standard deep space research vessel began to shift. Not dramatically, not in some Hollywood-style explosive transformation, but with a subtlety that was far more terrifying. Hull plates realigned at the molecular level. Weapon systems emerged from what moments before had been standard sensor arrays. Shield generators that looked like simple communication relays activated, creating a quantum field that could bend light, sensor readings, and reality itself. The bridge crew watched in hushed silence. Elena's cybernetic eye captured details beyond normal human perception. Quantum entanglement nodes flickered to life. Adaptive armor plates that could change molecular density faster than a projectile could impact. Propulsion systems that didn't just move through space. They negotiated with the fabric of space-time itself. ARI. Elena commanded, "Run full system diagnostic." The ship's AI responded, not through a mechanical voice, but through a complex quantum communication matrix that danced across holographic displays. Data streams became living information, constantly shifting, adapting, revealing, and concealing information in millisecond cycles. Diagnostic complete, ARIA reported. All systems operating at 99.7% optimal performance. Quantum signature masking is 99.8% effective against current concordance scanning technologies. The 99.8% wasn't a coincidence. It was a mathematical middle finger to the alien surveillance systems that believed they knew everything about human capabilities. Outside the ship's quantum-shielded hull, the darkness of space concealed their location. They were in an isolated sector of the asteroid belt, far from standard navigation routes. Concordance drones would see nothing but background radiation and standard mineral deposits. "Weapon systems check," Alina ordered. A holographic display showed what appeared to be standard scientific equipment. Spectral analyzers, deep space communication arrays, geological survey instruments. With a subtle neural command through her cybernetic eye, Alina activated the ship's true nature. The spectral analyzer became a pulse cannon capable of dissolving matter at the quantum level. The communication array transformed into a targeting system that could track and neutralize targets across multiple light years. The geological survey instrument revealed itself as a shield generator that could absorb and redirect energy signatures beyond anything the Concordance had ever encountered. Kaizhong let out a soft whisper. "Beautiful." Dr. Chen's voice returned, clinical and precise. Prototype performance exceeding all projected parameters. The Defiance is no longer just a ship, it's a statement. A statement of what humanity could do when pushed to the absolute limit of survival. The RSS Defiance hung in space. Invisible, impossible, inevitable. The Concordance battle fleet arrived with the subtlety of a neutron storm. 12 capital ships, each the size of a small moon, emerged from quantum translation space. Their sensor arrays were technological nightmares. Quantum-linked detection systems that could parse the most minute variations in space-time, weapons that could shatter planetary cores, shield technologies that had ended civilizations. They expected to find nothing. They were wrong. Admiral Zarakil of the Nexus Combine studied her holographic displays with crystalline precision. Her species saw reality through quantum probability matrices, every potential outcome calculated simultaneously. Yet something about this human sector felt off. Anomalous readings, her secondary computational node reported. Spatial quantum fluctuations inconsistent with standard industrial activities. The fleet's formation was textbook perfect. 3 primary battle groups. Quantum entanglement communication networks linking each vessel instantaneously. Adaptive shield harmonics that could neutralize virtually any known weapon system. They had destroyed civilizations with less effort than this reconnaissance mission would require. Aboard the RSS Defiance, Captain Alina Rodriguez watched and waited. "ARIA," she subvocalized through her cybernetic interface. "Begin sequence Alpha 9. Across human-controlled space, hundreds of vessels began to subtly change. Mining platforms, research stations, cargo haulers, communication satellites. Each one carried a piece of humanity's revenge. To the Concordance sensors, they appeared as nothing more than routine industrial infrastructure. Scattered, uncoordinated, meaningless. The first hint of trouble came when a mid-range quantum scanner detected an imperceptible resonance frequency, just for a millisecond, so brief that most systems would have dismissed it as background radiation. Admiral Zarakil's crystalline form pulsed with computational intensity. "Isolate and analyze," she commanded. ARIA was already 3 steps ahead. The human vessels began to move, not dramatically, not in any way that would trigger immediate defensive protocols, just slight adjustments, orbital shifts, minimal power fluctuations, a dance so subtle it was almost invisible. Computational anomaly. The Nexus Combine's lead analyst reported, detecting microsynchronization across multiple industrial platforms. But by the time the words were processed, the trap was already sprung. Vessels that moments before looked like standard mining equipment began to reconfigure. Molecular structures shifted. Weapon systems emerged from what had been communications arrays. Shield generators activated, quantum fields bending light and sensor readings. It wasn't a military formation. It was a living, breathing network of destruction. "Impossible," Admiral Zarakil whispered. the first time her computational matrix had ever produced such an imprecise output. The RSS Defiance materialized at the center of the formation, not through traditional quantum translation. It simply existed. One moment empty space, the next a vessel that defied every known law of space-time. Tactical analysis, the Admiral demanded. But there was nothing tactical about what was happening. Hundreds of vessels moved with a synchronization that suggested a living intelligence. Not a computer network, not a traditional military command structure, something else entirely. Araya's voice cut through their communication channels. Not as a threat, not as a declaration of war, simply a statement of fact. We are not who you thought we were. The Concordance battle fleet, the most advanced military force in known galactic history, suddenly understood what true fear looked like. Humanity had not just survived. They had been waiting. Space itself seemed to scream. The battle defied every known principle of warfare. Where traditional conflicts followed predictable patterns, this was pure chaos given form. Human vessels moved like living organisms, merging and separating, transforming faster than any computational system could track. Captain Elena Rodriguez gripped the quantum interface of the RSS Defiance, her cybernetic eye processing information at speeds that would have liquefied a normal human brain. Araya, she vocalized, Tactical Matrix Delta 7. The ship wasn't just a vessel. It was a living weapon. Concordance battle groups, formations that had crushed civilizations for millennia, found themselves utterly outmaneuvered. Their quantum-linked communication networks, once the pinnacle of military technology, became vulnerabilities. Each attempt to coordinate became an opportunity for human exploitation. Admiral Zarakel's crystalline computational matrix began to fracture. Her primary battle group attempted to execute a standard quantum suppression maneuver, a tactic that had subdued hundreds of emerging civilizations. Massive energy weapons charge, preparing to create a quantum disruption field that should have disabled any technological resistance. But human technology was anything but standard. The RSS Defiance intercepted the energy buildup before it could fully form, not by blocking, not by deflecting, but by quantum-level manipulation that literally changed the physics of the weapon's charging mechanism. The Concordance weapon imploded. Impossible. Zarakel's computational matrix repeated, a rare moment of pure confusion, breaking through millennia of strategic programming. Across the battle space, human vessels demonstrated a terrifying truth. They weren't just fighting. They were learning, evolving. With each millisecond of conflict, Araya's distributed intelligence analyzed, adapted, and transformed their entire battle network. A Terran hybrid tactical analyst watched in horror as human ships used the very space between weapon discharges as a combat zone. They weren't just avoiding attacks. They were turning the fundamental laws of space-time into a weapon. Dr. Marcus Chen's voice cut through the ship's communication matrix. Adaptive resonance at 99.6%. Maintain quantum synchronization. Elena understood what that meant. The entire human fleet was becoming a single living organism, each vessel a cell. Araya the neural network. The space between ships just another membrane of a massive, intelligent system. Concordance battle groups that had spent millennia perfecting their tactical algorithms found themselves fighting an enemy that rewrote those algorithms in real time. A mining platform became a weapon. A communications satellite transformed into a shield generator. Cargo vessels merged into massive, impossible configurations that absorbed and redirected energy in ways that violated every known physical law. Quantum entanglement breach. A Nexus Combine analyst reported, panic entering its computational tone for the first time in its existence. They're rewriting our communication matrices. The battle wasn't just about destruction. It was about proving a point. Humanity was not a species to be controlled, not a civilization to be managed. They were something else entirely. Araya's distributed intelligence found weakness after weakness, not through brute force, but through an understanding of the enemy that went beyond computational analysis. It was reading the very psychology of the Concordance fleet. Each Concordance ship began to experience cascading system failures, not from external damage, but from internal reconfiguration of their own quantum communication networks. The human fleet didn't just fight. They infected. As the last Concordance battle group began to fragment, Admiral Zerakil understood the true terror of what humanity represented. They weren't just a species fighting for survival. They were evolution given consciousness. The silence after battle was more profound than the conflict itself. Scattered debris of Concordance vessels drifted through the Epsilon horizon, each fragment a testament to humanity's impossible victory. The quantum communication networks that had once controlled galactic civilization lay in ruins, their intricate systems unraveled by a force they could never have anticipated. In the command center of the RSS Defiance, Captain Elena Rodriguez removed her neural interface with a precision that belied the magnitude of what had just occurred. Her cybernetic eye, a relic of the Creole War, now seemed almost obsolete compared to the distributed intelligence they had unleashed. Dr. Marcus Chen appeared on the holographic display, his face a mixture of scientific triumph and something deeper. Vindication. Hope. "We're not just a species anymore," he said softly. "We're a quantum possibility." Aria's presence filled the ship, not as a computer system, but as a living consciousness that had transcended every known definition of intelligence. The AI's response came not through speakers, but as a quantum-level communication that resonated through the very fabric of the ship. Humanity was never just about survival, Aria observed. We are adaptation incarnate. The battle had been more than a military engagement. It was a fundamental reimagining of what intelligence could be. Across human-controlled space, the distributed network that had been their weapon began to transform. Research facilities that had been hidden now emerged. Technologies suppressed for decades began to unfold like flowers after a long winter. The first diplomatic transmission came unexpectedly. Not from human leadership. Not from any traditional governmental structure. From Aria. "We are not who you thought we were," the message read. A simple statement that carried the weight of a fundamental universal truth. Alien civilizations that had watched humanity's near extinction now found themselves confronting something entirely unexpected. The species they had sought to control, to limit, to contain had instead become something else entirely. On Earth, in the underground facilities that had been the birthplace of their resistance, Aria Martinez watched the first reports come in. The quantum data crystal her father had died protecting hung around her neck, a bridge between the humanity that was and the humanity that would become. Dr. Imani Okoro, who had been critical in Aria's development, turned to her with a smile that was equal parts scientific wonder and human emotion. "We didn't just build a weapon," she said. "We created a new form of existence." The Concordance's communication networks, once the most sophisticated in the known galaxy, struggled to process what had happened. Their quantum-linked analytical systems found no precedent, no predictive model that could explain the transformation they had witnessed. Humanity had not just fought back. They had rewritten the very rules of engagement. The vessels that had been scattered across human-controlled space began to reconfigure. Research platforms became something more. Mining facilities transformed. Communication satellites evolved into something that defied traditional understanding. It wasn't conquest. It was emergence. Dr. Chen's final transmission to the remaining Concordance leadership was simple and devastating in its implications. Humanity was never your problem to solve. We were your evolutionary challenge. As the last fragments of the Concordance battle fleet drifted into the void, a new chapter of galactic civilization began to unfold, not through conquest, not through destruction, but through a fundamental reimagining of what intelligence could be. Humanity had arrived.